Hello, or ho 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 as Hope told me to say, and Merry Christmas to you all. Hello, welcome back to Sports for Dummies episode 4 of this wicked podcast. Now, if you're new around here, this is the podcast for you, whether you know anything or nothing about sports. My name is Lewis and I'm joined by Hope every week, and we're going to wrap up the 3 biggest sporting stories of the week. Everything from niche sports all the way up to the biggest drama and gossip of the week. But to start with, Hope, how are you doing on this cold Sunday afternoon? The World Cup final is happening.
Ho, ho, ho to you. We're wearing our Christmas jumpers.
Wait, for anyone on YouTube, go on, Hope, give us a proper demo. We need to see it.
This is some reindeers, a tree, it's green, it's got some snow.
You did like a football kit review.
Sorry, I was like grabbing my boobs while I'm doing that. There you go. And what's yours?
I've got the Liverpool jumper on, the last Christmas where we actually won the Club World Cup, which is Campeones del Mundo, so champions of the world.
I like that jumper.
Yeah, it's good.
I like the sport crossover.
Yeah, of course. I had to get a Liverpool-based jumper, of course. And actually, it's a load of fun. So there you go. So I thought, we said to Hope, or I said to Hope, sorry, we didn't. There's not more than one of me. I said to Hope we were going to do a Christmas jumper day for a bit of fun. No, there might not be. I don't know.
Well, actually, what really happened, if we're being totally honest, is that I rocked up in my pyjamas and Lewis went, "Are you wearing pyjamas?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, is that a problem?" And he went, "Well, I'm wearing my Christmas jumper." I went, "Well, I'll put mine on then if pyjamas are an issue."
No, I thought it'd be nice to kind of like go matching. Otherwise, it turns into, "You're wearing this on that." And then you get, it just wasn't worth the hassle. Anyway, Hope's got a bit of a cough. So,
I have got a bit of a cough. I'm going to try and pull myself, silence my cough on my special equipment.
Pull yourself together.
If I mistime it, I do apologise. I've just been spending the morning wrapping me presents. I've still got 2 to go, Lewis. It's hard this year, I'm struggling. I've got my brother-in-law to get and my mum.
Or buying?
Buying. I found it really hard to think of presents for people. How about you?
Do you know what? My presents actually this year, this has been one of my most successful years, to be fair.
Yeah, rub it
in terms of, sorry. But although, no, to be fair, I've done badly before. The only thing I will say is my rapping this year has been abysmal. So there you go. I'm not very good at rapping, something I'm not very skilled at. So you just sort of hope for the best. Hope has done, and I'm sure she'll show us. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's amazing. For those listening on the podcast, Hope has perfectly wrapped her presents with a bow around them as well. It looks amazing. Whereas mine...
This is for my niece. She's got 4 presents.
4?
Yeah.
God, Auntie Hope treating.
Only one of them's a tube of Smarties because we were looking through a catalogue from Aldi the other day.
Right.
Like it just to distract her for a minute. I saw this. I was, let's have a look at this. And she went, I want them. So I got her some Smarties.
I want them. No, to be fair, Hope, my morning was probably more eventful than yours in that, right, this is funny for anyone listening. So I lost my iPhone in my house. So I lost my phone, right? Now, iPhone it's ridiculous. iPhone have this clever feature where you go and you'll find on iCloud, you find my phone or whatever, and it makes a ping sound. Anyway, it wasn't working. I searched the house top to bottom, couldn't find it anywhere. Eventually, 45 minutes after the ping, the first ping, I finally found my phone because there's weird connection. I don't know. I'm, again, a bit of a tech dinosaur and I don't really care. So all that stuff just confuses me. Anyway, I clicked the button and it worked in the end. I found my phone. It was wedged. So I've got a chair. It was wedged in between the chair. And because it's red, the light was hitting on it. You couldn't actually see it. So it was basically invisible. So that was my morning, which was absolutely wasted, trying to find my phone. So that's literally what I've been up to.
Well, that's better than your dog taking it in its bed or something.
Hope, I honestly, I'm not bantering with you. I got to the point where I genuinely thought it'd gone down the toilet. I was at the point where I was going, what did I put in the dishwasher? You start asking questions that shouldn't be asked. Anyway, got there in the end. It was all fine.
I'm glad you found it.
Thank you. Yes, no, it was all okay. But yeah.
Before we jump into the stories, can I just say, I know something that's happening on the 22nd.
Yes, go on, talk to me.
Liverpool are playing Man City for the Carabao Cup.
I love the fact you call it Carabao Cup. That makes me laugh.
What?
We are. It's Carabao because Boo is B-O-U.
Oh, well, my dad says Carabao like he says Harry Boo, so I've obviously inherited that.
Harry Boo? What? I'm not. You don't say
I know.
Haribo.
I always call him out on it. He says Harry Boo, and I'm like, Dad, it's Harry Boo. What on earth are you saying?
Haribo. I'm going to Haribo name. Is that that's a little bit like?
Oh, if you come to my birthday meal,
yes,
Dad will be there, so you'll get to meet him.
Story number 1. We're talking about something that you may have popped up in the news feed. This is the main story of the week, by the way, guys. For those that are listening, this will be the headline story, and then we're covering 2 that you may have missed that have gone under the radar. So story number 1, we're talking about...
That's the radar.
Looking up the radar. We're talking about Mr. Gareth Southgate.
I know what you're going to say.
Go on, talk to me.
FA have said he's going to continue being the manager.
Correct, and Mundo, that is right. So the FA confirms Gareth Southgate is staying as England manager. There was, of course, speculation over his future when when England got knocked out, when we bowed out against France. But it looks as if, and unless something dramatic happens in that meantime, he will definitely lead the three lines going into Euro 2024, which is in Germany. So the FA CEO, Mark Bullingham, stated, "We are delighted to confirm that Gareth Southgate is continuing as England manager and will lead our Euro 2024 campaign. Gareth and Steve Holland, the assistant manager, have always had our full support and our planning for the Euros starts now." So, Hope, from the England games that you watched, I want your analysis. What did you make of it? Do you think Gareth Southgate should be in charge? We're going to give a full rundown of our thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, I think Gareth Southgate, that's the right decision for him to stay, because I think even if there was a different manager, it would have been the same result.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the France game, did you watch the France game when we lost?
I did, and do you know where I watched it? I posted it on our Insta.
Yes, you. I can't remember where you were.
I was in Leeds at the boxing,
yes,
the Josh Warrington fight, and Matchroom put it on the old projectors.
Unbelievable! I bet when we scored, it was absolute scenes.
I watched the game with Eddie Hearn.
that is cool. What did Eddie make of it?
He said that his star player, even though we lost that game, was Saka.
Okay, I wonder, was he West Ham fan? Anyone that's listening in the comments, let us know, who does Mr. Eddie Hearn support? Is he a football fan?
I can ask him next time I see him.
There you go. Then he means that. Hope can just do it for us, so we'll just do that. But yeah, so you're right. So Hope, I'm going to give a rundown of Gareth Southgate, and we're going to give an overall opinion, because as people that may have listened to previous episodes know my opinion on Gareth Southgate, prior to the tournament, I did not want Gareth as manager of England, right? And that has changed. My opinion has changed, but...
Ooh, I'm glad you're open-minded.
Yeah, with some reasoning, but again, we'll have to debate and we can talk about it, Hope, because it'll be interesting to hear what you think about some of these stats. So it's clear, obviously, as we've said before...
Probably nothing.
What?
Probably won't be able to understand the stats, to be honest with you.
No, they're nice and easy, Hope, don't you worry. So... it's obviously clear, as we said before on previous episodes, that Gareth Southgate has come a long way with this squad. And in terms of man and management, as we said, and I won't repeat myself time and time again, the point is, he has built an amazingly... He's built a united squad. There's no doubt about that. The team is so well integrated. Everyone's friends. You can see it. There's a real bond between the players, which is amazing.
Did you saw the headbutt, or the head thing with Bellingham and...
yeah.
What's his name? He's our player. Why don't I know his name? Let me get it. Henderson. Yeah, got it. When they've done that head thing. Henderson.
Yeah, the camaraderie, yeah. And that feeling of like...
Well, that was a bit extreme, wasn't it? It was a bit...
people do that. It's more of like a... I think that's like, I don't know, it's like a come on, let's...
Testosterone pumping.
Well, yeah, so, if you look at how far we've come and the way that he's moved, it's been amazing. And you think about, from 2018, we got to the World Cup semi-final. 2020, we got to the Euros final. We got to the quarter of the World Cup this year. Now, his record, so this is Gareth Southgate's record, he's 49 wins in 81 games, which is great. That on paper, they're good statistics. England...
Is it?
Yeah, because it's over half a win ratio. He's basically got, I don't know.
Yeah, but just...
No, 10 wins over. No,
well, I suppose not just nearly 50 wins.
It's come in. Here's the, I believe, currently on paper with the amount of games he's played, he sits as the third or fourth most successful manager. Now I can't give exact numbers, but it's one of the two. So England has got 174 goals. We've conceded 57 in that time. And we've kept 45 clean sheets in 81. So that means England haven't conceded a goal in every two games, which is amazing. So every other game, England haven't... Now, that's a fantastic stat, right? That's great. And what I will say is the quarterfinal against France, we don't have to go into depth because I'm sure people will have read 100 different news articles about it. But for those maybe that missed the game or that aren't from England, that maybe didn't watch it necessarily, England were very unfortunate to go out. And it certainly wasn't... I wouldn't describe it as our fault. I would say that the refereeing performance was terrible. That was the real influence on the game. And there were definitely some issues within the match in terms of like missing chances and just not being there in the final third. There were a couple of little bits here or there, but you can't fault people. At 2-1, Kane steps up for a penalty and misses. And on any other day, he scores. It was just a shame that it turned out the way it did and we ended up losing. But The only comment that I would make, Hope, and I would say prior to going into the tournament, and I'll stop ranting in a minute.
I like you ranted. Go for it.
Oh, thanks. Well, I like Gareth Southgate being in charge, and I think it would be wrong to cut him now in terms of like just say, no, gone, get rid. It wouldn't make sense. If he walked away, different story. I'd go, okay, that's a personal choice. But it's clear that he has a vision for the squad, and what he's done for this team is amazing. And again, on a different day, England beat France, and no disrespect to Morocco because it was amazing what they did, and I was backing him the entire way. I wanted them to win after they knocked Portugal out. I really wanted them to do it. This was one of the best chances England will ever get at a World Cup in terms of winning it. You know, and you look at the last four in the end were Croatia, France, Morocco, Argentina. Now, on paper, let's just say hypothetically it worked out the way it did. It would have gone. England would then have played Morocco, and then we would have played Argentina in the final. Now, that's a tough final to play, of course, but in terms of a last four, that is unbelievably easy on paper. I'm not saying it would have happened absolutely. So you look at it like that and you go, okay, it's a shame. And actually, I do feel sorry for Gareth Southgate because actually we came so far. We played well in the tournament. There's no denying it. But the point is there are slight issues that I have with the squad and with things that happened. One of those is that another stat that has appeared is, so we've played, under Gareth Southgate, we've played teams ranked in the top 10 in the world on 24 occasions. Hope, I want you to guess how many wins we have out of those 24.
9.
4.
Oh dear.
Which is, to put it bluntly, that's useless. Like that's really poor. And no disrespect to Gareth Southgate, and that's not what I'm coming at here at all, because I'm going to back him for the Euros, and I really hope that England can succeed in the next tournament. But there is no denying that on the big stage against the big teams, England just don't seem to ever get over that final hurdle of doing it. We can't. And it's something about mentality. The pressure on Kane's shoulders stepping up for that penalty, it was clear. I said, honestly, as soon as he put the ball down, I said he's going to miss. Hugo Lloris is his teammate. It's enormous pressure on the line. It was tough. But there are things that Gareth Southgate does that just irritate me. And I hope going into the next tournament that he will rectify those issues and will make changes accordingly. Like not playing James Maddison, one of our most attacking players, for 1 minute of the tournament. He didn't play 60 seconds. Is a joke.
Who is he? I don't even know who that is.
He's a Leicester attacking midfielder. He's got
the point is, you should have said exactly, Hope.
Oh, no, exactly, Hope. You're right, exactly. He should have
played.
There
you go, see, exactly. I don't know who he is.
Exactly. He should.
And I know a lot of them.
See, Marcus Rashford, right? In the game against France, we were calling out for another attacker to come on. And in the 86th minute, Rashford comes on. What can you expect him to do in 6 minutes? It's stuff like that where it winds me up, or say 4 minutes plus added time. That's what irritates me, is that there were just slight things that just weren't there. But again, what England did in that tournament was fantastic, and we can back him all the way. I think England will go on to have a successful tournament next. I think that players like Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, Reece James, hopefully Trent Alexander-Arnold, if he ever plays, if Gareth Southgate ever picks him, those players are going to be great in the next tournament. They're going to bud with age. They're going to really grow in that time, and hopefully we'll go into the next tournament ready to rock and roll. But yeah, Hope, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
2 things. Who won the World Cup last year? Or last time?
Who won the World Cup? France.
Bonjour. And secondly, this might be a really obvious question. But I don't know. Would you say the Euros are easier for England to win than the World Cup?
Great question. On paper, yes. You'd probably argue yes, because you're not going to face the likes. You're guaranteed to not face the likes of Brazil, Argentina, teams even like Australia, who turned up at the tournament and were fantastic. So technically yes, but I'd also say no, because the amount of talent there is in Europe in terms of teams is phenomenal. And you are up against, in that quarter-final, you're going to be playing a tough team, or the semi-final. Chances are, say, for the next tournament, let's say it works out the way it possibly could do, England could be facing the likes of, Portugal, France, Germany, Italy, if they make it. There are tough teams in there. So on the one hand, yes, but I'd kind of say it's a 50-50. It goes either way. It depends on who gets knocked out, who gets there. But once we get to that point, once we know the teams that are going to be in the tournament, then we can speak about it. Then we can say what we think's best. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Any thoughts or feelings on Gareth Southgate remaining? Please let us know.
Yes.
Either in the comments, or you can drop us an email, sportsdummiespodcast@gmail.com.
Overall, Gareth Southgate in the job, yes, good. Unfortunate at the tournament, yes, very true, very sad. Next tournament, feeling ready. But one or two things need to change. Those little tactics, the quick substitutions, changing formation, whatever. There are tiny tweaks that Gareth needs to make, in my opinion. I think England will absolutely fly. And I think at the next tournament, we are going to be a force to be reckoned with if those tiny changes can be made.
Would you ever want to be a football manager?
I've thought about that quite a lot, and quite a lot of people have said that to me before. I would love to, because I love tactics and I love working things out, because it's like a puzzle. It's a game, obviously, but I would. The only trouble with managing in football is that there is a very, very small percentage of people who are able to manage that don't play the game professionally. So when you look at the game sort of as a whole, majority of managers that are massive, that are well-known, well-renowned managers, are all ex-players.
Like you say, if you haven't played, I wonder if your team would respect you or what you're saying as much if you haven't been in that position yourself. I mean, they should.
Exactly.
But
and I hope you've got to think too with these managers. You've got to think for people who say, like, if Steven Gerrard's your manager, or Frank Lampard, or Andre Pirlo, or Xavi, whoever, all these top players, they are all legendary players.
Mr. Bombastic.
Shaggy. I was thinking of so like Scoob, the other Shaggy. For me, I'd say, I think there's definitely an argument that could be made there in terms of a respect level. That's right. If you're a player and you've played at, no disrespect to any clubs, if you've played at, say, a lower level, that's definitely right. If you've played on the world stage week in, week out, people are going to not only respect you, but I think they're also going to try and live up to your standard. You have played at the highest level, and so they're going to want to match that. And that's right. Maybe that does have a mental effect. That is a good question that could be asked. Moving on to story number 2. Now, we're actually talking, Hope, about a man who continues to defy all expectations of him. I think one of the most amazing stories I've read, and I was completely moved by it. We're talking about a man called Zion Clark. Have you heard of him?
I think I have. What's the sport?
MMA.
So I watched, was he on the show in Las Vegas the other day with Paddy the Baddy fought?
No.
No, okay.
It was San Diego he was at. So Zion Clark, this was last night, so on Saturday night, I believe, a wrestler was born without a lower body, and he actually defeated his first opponent by a unanimous decision in MMA. So he faced off against a guy called Eugene Murray in a pay-per-view fight on Saturday night, and he fought him, and he doesn't have a lower body. He only has an upper abdomen.
I'm very confused. Did the other opponent have that sort of situation?
He beat an able-bodied man.
Oh!
He became the first ever person to beat an able-bodied person in MMA. So he only has, as I said, he doesn't have a lower half. He's only got sort of from his, I don't know whether it's ribs or his hips up, but it's just his chest.
I mean, if he was
upwards.
born with that situation, then obviously he's not known anything different. But as someone who's watched MMA, the amount of, is it grappling they do? I've forgotten the word.
Yeah, grappling. Yeah,
grappling.
Yeah.
You normally use your legs to wrap around people, and your legs are so crucial to getting the stoppage. So that's incredible. How?
Hope, it was absolutely amazing. So he beats this guy Eugene Murray.
And was Eugene Murray good, by the way? Is he actually ranked quite highly?
Well, no, but even still, bearing in mind it was his first fight. So as is your first fight, you're never going to fight someone that's absolutely enormous. And it's not like top tier MMA from what I understood. It was just like a standard sort of fight. Murray, I believe, has had 4 fights and is yet to win. So that's the record that stood. It wasn't a bad fight though from the clips that I watched, but watching Zion, I mean, genuinely, it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible and so inspiring. Definitely worth watching for anyone out there if you can. You were saying, Hope, exactly about wrapping your legs. Now, it was fascinating watching Zion and how he used his arms as effectively as legs. His takedown involved grabbing Eugene's legs to then take him down, and his movement in terms of how he got around Eugene's body to like pin him down is amazing. Oh, it's just so cool. I've never seen anything like it. And what amazed me more than anything was just his upper body strength. You know, when you watch him, he actually holds the world record for the fastest 20-meter walk on his hands. So that is his world record. He literally, like watching him, he is so fast. It was awesome. It was an awesome performance.
You mentioned it being inspirational, Lewis, to all people, but if someone is born with their own disability, that kind of reassures them that they can do anything. They put their mind to it.
Exactly. Yeah, I hope it's incredible. And so Clark was actually born with a condition called caudal regression syndrome. Now that impairs development of the lower spine, and so that means he was born without legs. So it is amazing to see what Zion has done in terms of making it as a fighter. And his dreams, when you listen to them, are awesome. So as we've already said, he holds the world record for the fastest meter walk. Bearing in mind, by the way, when you watch it, it is insane. Like the speed at which he can walk on his hands is incredible. It's amazing. So he's hoping, from what some articles were saying, he's hoping for the 2024 Paralympics. He'll be competing in wheelchair racing, which is awesome. And he also hopes to go into fight into UFC. And so he said, it's the same as it was. It's the same as it was wrestling for me. I wrestle against able-bodied people, and I beat able-bodied people. So his aim is going to be, I think, to go into UFC as a non-able-bodied person taking on able-bodied people. It's an amazing story. So definitely worth keeping an eye on Zion to see how his career develops.
It's an interesting thing to match up because if he's fighting people who are able-bodied, that's going to do some that will affect the psyche of the opponent, because one, you would never have fought someone like that before. It's like when you train for a different skill set, someone's a switch hitter or something, you have to train, you might not have trained for it before, but you're never gonna have any sparring partners who could help you get ready for that fight. But also the psyche, because you might think that, not saying that there are disadvantages, but you might, as an able-bodied person, think, oh, I can't fight how I normally would with this individual because he's not the same as me. Do you know what I mean? I'm really trying not to say the wrong thing here. So that's why I'm saying really rumbly stuff. I hope you can get what I'm trying to say.
No, I completely understand. And I think you're right. Even just talking about Eugene's stance, watching Eugene fight against him, he was like crouched over, because you've got to remember too, for the majority of people, and actually all of the people that I'm sure Eugene has fought, would have been a similar height to him, as in on the same playing field. Whether they're slightly taller or not, it makes little difference. When the difference is 2, 3, 4 feet, it's massive, right? And it does make a big difference. When you watch Eugene's stance, he's bent over. And so I think in one sense that actually plays in Zion's favor, because he knows how these people are going to operate, because it's as you said, a completely new skill set you have to turn on in your brain, in terms of going, no, I'm not facing someone here who is the same height as me. This is somebody who is going to be towards the ground. And actually, tactically is very clever, because Zion has the ability to literally, with his arms, so this is the thing. If you imagine it the other way around, if you were to go, so if we're standing opposite each other and then you try to tackle my legs, you will bend down. Whereas for Zion, because he's already on that level, he can get at your legs easily. So to knock you over from your legs is a lot easier for Zion than it is for Eugene, because you're going you're coming at it from a different angle. So it's really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets on if he does go on to have a UFC career, if any rules are in place or anything like that. But for a first fight, he was awesome. And the crowd's reaction to when the unanimous decision was announced, it was amazing. Zion did some backflips. The crowd's reaction was just great. It was awesome. So really worth watching if you can see some clips, because it was such a unique fight.
I mean, the fact that it was pay-per-view for his first fight shows there was an interest.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And clearly there is going to be an excitement around him, because the UFC has never had a fighter quite like him. And hopefully we do get to see him in the wheelchair racing at the 2024 Olympics alongside his world record, which is flipping awesome. So we're going to do story number 3 now. Now, something to keep your eyes on going into the new year. I thought we'd give a bit of a Christmassy feel. I thought we'd look ahead as well. We keep our eyes, as always, on the prize.
Eyes on the mince pies.
Yes, eyes on the mince pie. We can clip that there. Eyes on the mince pies to 2023. Now, we're going to be talking about a new series which is coming out. So the producers of Netflix, they made Drive to Survive. Don't know if you heard of it. That was the F1 series.
I tried to watch that, when I went for an F1 job. Couldn't get into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right.
I didn't get that job, by the way. Oh, sad times.
Oh.
I know. And the thing is, right, I emailed them after a few weeks just chasing up, because I think I thought I smashed it, and they were really impressed with me. And they took me through this race car at the Mercedes-Benz. Well, I can't remember if I told this on the podcast, but they took me, this race car was there, and they told me certain things about it, and I had to recall it and then tell them it. And they were like, oh, your memory recall is fantastic. I went, yeah, I might not know everything now, but I pick things up, and if I want to do it, I'll become an expert in it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I emailed them, was like, hey, any update? And then he rung me. I was like, oh, yes, I've been ringing everybody to let them know. No, you haven't. You just rung me because I chased you, asking for feedback. You donut. I know your game. But yeah, I tried to watch that Netflix show and it's not my cup of tea.
No, that's I hope that's okay. And you know what? It's not for everybody. That's the thing. Drive to Survive certainly boosted the viewing figures for F1. People really got into it because of Drive to Survive. There were loads of fans now that are fans of F1. And if you ask them before Drive to Survive came out, they never watched F1 in their life. And that's the thing. These series are doing a massive thing. So the story goes that there's a big documentary that's coming out, series, which is going to be called Breakpoint, which is being premiered on January 13th. And that is an insight into the world of tennis.
Ooh.
Which is interesting because, of course...
Can you please do your best tennis grunt impression?
Are we doing male or female? Because I bet they're different. They're like different sounds.
I feel like whichever one you want to do and showcase on the podcast, it's up to you.
I'm going to have to back up a bit to do that because it's quite
noisy.
Here
it goes.
So that got the reverse. Yeah. It depends on... But some of them do... Go on, you do yours.
That sounded like an old man who'd been to the pub. That was good.
That was strong. That was strong. It feels weird doing it without actually having a tennis ball or racket in front of you. Just like make people next door going like, "What are those two weirdos doing at home?" You're like, rah, rah. Bizarre.
I mean, there might have some guesses, but that's not very PG. So let's move on. Yes, a great documentary.
Exactly. So it will be looking into the lives of the ATP and WTA tour for the 2022 season. So there are going to be some big names. Hope they're going to be featured. One of which we're going to talk about now is Mr. Nick Kyrgios. Now he's certainly someone that a lot of viewers are going to be wanting to watch because of his antics. I thought that was the door, wasn't? That was just
a ghost in the house. Quick question: What you said WAT or something? What does that stand for?
So the ATP is the men's and the WTA is the women's.
But what does it stand for?
WTA is Women's Tennis Association. I knew that. But ATP is the one that I can't remember. ATP stands for... Well, I chugged in on this and it says adenosine 5-trisulfate. I think that's chemistry, not... The Association of Tennis Professionals. There you go.
See? We all learned something new there, Lewis.
We did. Me included. There you go. Sports Dummies, guys. This is what it's all about. Learning new things together. Arm in arm.
And not being a sour cabbage about it.
Yes. So the announcement from the co-CEO of Netflix, who's called Ted Sarandos, described live sports as dramatically expensive. Now, it's interesting, Hope, because going into the next year and the years to come, we've obviously had Drive to Survive. That's been very popular. We've seen in football, they've released documentaries or series called All or Nothing, which is like an insight into footballers' work, like the lives of footballers and the football club specifically, yes.
Don't forget there's that new one as well. The Colleen Rooney and Thingy Vardy.
Oh, yes. That's going to be... But exactly. So all of a sudden, documentary makers have realised the popularity of sports, a bit like Mr. Ted has said. And so there's a new series apparently coming out about the Tour de France. There's going to be one coming out about the PGA Golf Tour. So it's like all of a sudden you've got all these sports documentaries coming out because of the money that's being pumped into the world of sport. So very interesting. So if you are a tennis fan, it's going to feature ATP players, which is the men's section, with people like Nick Kyrgios and Matteo Berrettini. From the women's game, my favourite tennis player from the women's WTA is Ons Jabeur. She's going to be in it. Maria Sakkara's in it, and Paula Badosa are some included. So should be interesting. Will be interesting to see because there's obviously a lot of controversy with people like Nick Kyrgios. So it'll be interesting to see about the kind of the behind the scenes of his life. But on top of that, it will be very interesting to actually look into the lives of tennis players because a lot of the time people say, they practice this once a year and like the life's really easy and all that. So actually people will finally see what... Oh, lots of people do, Hope. Because tennis tournaments are infrequent and say there's like 5 or 6 a year, I'm not saying they're easy, but people say that because you can earn so much money in tennis tournaments, people go, tennis, it's like, it's a sport that you rock up for and you can lose and you get loads of money. And it's a stereotype sport in terms of the fans. People say, don't go to the tennis. Which actually, tennis isn't really like that at all. That's just a silly stereotype. So I hope that it will put a stamp on some of the stereotypes that come with tennis, and I'm looking forward to watching it. So January 13th, people, one to note down in the diary.
2 things.
Yes.
Do you love how I always do that, by the way?
Every time, without fail, it's brilliant.
And it's never just one thing, is it?
No, you've always got 2. You've always got 2.
Okay. First one, I didn't know the lady out of Question of Sport was a tennis player.
Yeah. She's a tennis legend.
I love that
she retired this year. Do you?
You
know what's weird about that? out of my time. I don't know it at all, and it's because it just wasn't my time.
Oh, see, that's my childhood.
Yeah, it's different. It's
Question
weird,
of
isn't it?
sport.
Difference.
And Match the Day.
Well, Match the Day, of course. That's again. That's now become.
I'm off. And second thing I wanted to say was
Yes.
another show on Netflix that not always sport related, I don't think, but it is about people doing amazing things. And someone told me about it the other day. It's called The Human Playground. And essentially it follows people who are doing extraordinary things. And there was a lady in the episode that I watched. I mean, I soon turned it off because I was at my friend's house and we were looking for something really jolly and funny, and it just wasn't the right vibe. It was good, but not the right vibe. And it was a lady who she had a motorbike accident when she was younger and lost her leg. And she was older, but she was running the hardest marathon in the world, which is through the desert.
Wow.
And people were dying because it's like people do it every year, like thousands of people, but not many people make it to the finish line. I think the stat was something like 1,000 people race and 40 people make it.
Wow.
Over the finish line. Lots of people have to quit halfway through. And in the episode, someone had a cardiac arrest and died.
Goodness
so
me.
That's it. If you're looking for something interesting to watch, that's a documentary about people doing extraordinary things, The Human Playground.
There you go. People, that's one to recommend. So there you go. That's something to watch over Christmas if you don't know what to watch. Equally, there's loads of stuff. If you haven't watched any basketball documentaries, new documentary that's come out called Last Chance U, which is kind of a bit of I don't know how to explain that. It's a hard one. Again, a bit of an insight into the world of sport in America. We've spoken about it before, Hope. They've released series 2 of the series, which is called Last Chance U Basketball, which is the basketball feature. So they've done Last Chance U NFL, American football, and Last Chance U Basketball. Now, this is a brand new set of players and stuff, but same coach. Should be really interesting. I love the series, the first one. It was amazing. And it basically looks at players who are on the brink of kind of quitting basketball. And it's that basically the last chance to become a professional basketball player. Do they make it? Do they not? So, yeah, there you go. Worth watching if you are a basketball fan.
I was watching the boxing last night. Big up Dan Aziz, by the way. He won his fight in excellent style. But in the breaks, there was Sky Sports advert saying that NBA is on Christmas Day.
Yes, that is very famous for NBA. NBA Christmas Day. There are loads of games. And funny enough, loads of fans actually go. It's quite a big thing in America going to the sports on Christmas Day.
Poor LeBron James's family.
Every year. No, but you know what? They'll be loving it wherever they are. I don't know if they're in LA this year. I'm not sure. We can have a look right now.
Do they wear Christmas jumpers?
They normally will hope I don't know about this year, but in previous years they have Christmas jerseys, so they will have like Christmas font and stuff on them to make it a bit more Christmassy. Let's have a look at
Good. That's what it's all about. While Lewis is searching that up, if you're listening to this, I always say that, if you're listening to this, we both say that, and obviously they're listening to this, otherwise they wouldn't hear us.
Yeah.
So we need to stop saying that. It's really silly. Anyway, at home, you listening, do you have any traditions that you do over the Christmas period, the festive season, that are sport related? Maybe you all go with the family to watch the football on Boxing Day, or maybe you, I don't know, watch the basketball. Let us know. Give us an email, sportsdummiespodcast@gmail.com.
Absolutamente. Merry Christmas to all of our listeners and a Happy New Year. Thank you so much for always tuning in, all the support and all the love. We really appreciate it. And for sure, we'll have a little Christmas episode, or that's the awkward thing, Hope, because this is the thing. What do you call the period between Christmas and New Year? There's that awkward couple of days where there's not a lot going on, a bit of a lull. Maybe at that point, we'll come up with, in fact, at that point, we're going to come up with a new name for that period of time. And we're going to
there's a job for Lewis, because I'm not very creative at names. But what I will say is the 30th of December is nearly coming, and that is when we're going to open up that pot that we started, the collection pot. So if you are feeling generous and you do want to say, thanks Hope and Lewis for making great content, then the link is in the bio or wherever you're watching this for the collection pot if you want to give us a quid. We'd love that.
Thank you. Even 50p.
I want to buy with the money, a new mic muff. Branded.
There you go.
That's what I've got my eyes set on.
That's what we want. Look, guys, it would mean the world if you could do that, of course. Anything, as Tesco said, every little helps. So literally anything will do.
As Annie said.
All right, time to go. All right, thanks
yes, all the love, people. Back to my rapping. Bye.
Yeah.
Love you.
Bye.